Listen up, everyone.
Turn it up a little bit.
We making noise, holla.
If you haven't checked out the Hip Hop Study Hall podcast, here's what you've been missing.
Here in Tampa lately, too, we've had a few incidents that happen right downtown in downtown Tampa, right? And the reason I wanted to talk about this is because you've been in the law enforcement community here, part of it, big part of it. You also big part of the legal, what goes on here in the city. And it's just a city that I know that you care about like I do, and you know a lot about, right? So we recently had an incident, like there's been a few incidents in this little area in downtown. And for those who don't know about downtown Tampa, it's they're building it up. Yep. They've got some high rises down there. We've got a few nice food places down there, a nice park. We're doing a lot of good stuff in the city down there. But recently we've had like some shootings downtown, and in particular in this 3-venue area that sits in the middle of like some pretty pricey apartment buildings, right?
Right.
Most recently, a spot called Bella, which is, for lack of a better term, it's a low key, mid range priced Italian restaurant that turns into like a loungy type thing. They do day parties there, that sort of thing. And I've gotten more details from the streets, after sending the original video to you. But what ultimately resulted there was an altercation that spilled outside, and a 21-year-old kid was killed. Another kid is in the hospital right now that's had multiple operations. But the shooting I'm here might be in self-defense. Now, that aside, we're still getting, all the facts on that. From your experience, though, in a city like Tampa that's trying to build up its entertainment downtown scene, what kind of effect does that have in the mayor's office? Like when they're looking at things, or even in law enforcement, when they start, does it become a numbers thing where they're like, dude, there's too much going on?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot of moving parts here and a lot of pieces, and we'll start kind of with the thing and then kind of work with actually what happened and maybe work our way around to it. But I'll start with that. I know a buddy of mine lives in one of those, the fancy high-rise apartments there that are super expensive.
Right.
And maybe a month or two ago, he was in my office and we were just shooting the breeze. And he's like, man, it's getting bad over there. He's like, I'm looking at moving out because the people that are moving into these apartments are trouble.
Right.
Right. And this isn't some like nerdy buttoned up guy. Like, to have him tell me that is not like, I don't know, whoever else, but it carried weight. Put it this way, it carried weight when he told me that. Right. So it seemingly has been bubbling up. And it's a multiple part thing, right? Because on the law enforcement side, you got to go, okay, we got to do something about this. Right. We can't just turn a blind eye to this. Now, do 2 incidents make law enforcement say we have to do a wholesale change? Probably not. But from what I understand, it's not just 2 incidents.
Right.
Because I know of a third that was not in the news, but because, my boy was telling me, equally as bad. And that wasn't just an isolated thing. There's other things that have been going on. So, to them, and look, part of it may be how many of these things are reported.
That too.
That's a problem, right? And who with TPD wants to work downtown, which then becomes another piece to the puzzle. Do you have the go-getters wanting to work downtown when downtown historically has been a little quieter, right?
Right.
You want your go-getters on the law enforcement side to be the ones in those neighborhoods where you have problems, right? I mean, when I first started, I was assigned to one of those neighborhoods because it was like, yeah, he's the guy that's going to go run after people and chase him and get in car chases and fight whoever he needs to fight when they're trying to fight him, right? I mean, that was the assignment, and you need that type of person there. The type of person who's just gonna, the big guy in the car who's just gonna sit and just, hi guys, and just let everybody go do their thing.
Craziness.
Yeah. So it's tough. It's who do you put in that area? And then how do you control? I mean, when I worked, we had rules, right? I mean me and the people that lived in the neighborhood. And it was basically the people, and look, there was a lot of drug dealers in the neighborhood, right? And there were the things that go along with drug dealing that would happen. And about every 6 weeks, we'd sit down and we'd have a conversation. We'd go, keep it in the house. Don't come outside. Don't fight. Don't shoot each other. You know why? I don't get complaints from everybody else.
Right.
When you're just quiet in your house. When you come out, I have to deal with all the complaints. And then they come to me, and then they go to my supervisor. And then my supervisor comes to me and goes, why aren't you doing something?
Right. What's up with your neighborhood?
Right. And then you got to come in, you got to do something. So, and I think it's easier in a single family home neighborhood because everybody's on ground level. So you can have those conversations versus in a high rise, it comes a little bit tougher because how do you go up to the fifth? I mean, yes, you can go up to the 15th floor, but it's a little different, right? There's another dynamic to it. So there are challenges on the law enforcement side, and it's just, they're going to have to do something. But I think it really stems beyond the law enforcement side, and they're going to just, honestly, it's probably more presence, right? But then again, the parking garages in those in the high rises, guess what? They're gated. And law enforcement doesn't have an easy, maybe this is too much information for me, but they don't have an easy way to get in.
Right.
So they got to get buzzed in to get through the gate. So it's kind of hard to patrol when you got to wait to be buzzed in.
Right.
So there are challenges from that perspective, but what I think, and so I was catching what you were saying, right, as I was reading the article, because my first thought was, I was going to ask you what you knew, like from what you've heard on the streets about it.
Right.
My first thought was this was probably self-defense because of them saying, well, the shooter is cooperating with police.
Yeah. Well, again, I haven't read this officially, just the rumor on the street. Again, this is the rumor on the street, is that it started inside. The guy really got jumped. And the guy is a veteran, a military veteran that's licensed to carry. As it spilled outside, they were still like on him. Yeah. He was able to get to his car because he parks close. He's got a very nice car, but he usually valets or parks close. He was able to get to his car as this is still going on. Got to his thing, and everything else after that is like, what happened, right?
Right.
And he was able to get it off, right? That's why after that, like you said, the word has been like he's cooperating because he felt like he had nothing to hide, right? And in that, one of the things that I keep telling people about all of these things, right? And I've said it about a couple of venues here, and I'll just use my own self as an example. Years ago, I wanted to work at the Kennedy. And I wanted to work at the Kennedy because the Kennedy spread out my audience. It was a bunch of people who I knew didn't normally know me. They weren't in the normal
rich UT college kids.
Yeah, but also too kids that didn't. Well, for me it was more so because honestly, what's really crazy is I don't know if I knew much about UT then. I just knew that a lot of people went to the Kennedy that didn't look like me, but I could play for them.
Yeah,
you understand what I'm saying? And being in the iHeart building, I met a lot of sales reps that could get me in different places.
Right.
So shouts out to this chick named Jillian from Chicago that I met. She got me a meeting with them, and the first thing they said to me was, yo, Eakin, man, we love the brothers, man. But, if my club turns black. Because everybody is also, to me in Tampa, not everybody, but a lot of people don't want their club to turn black per se. Because once it turns black per se, it gets this stigma on it, right? And then you can't seem to get everybody to come, right?
Right.
So as long as it stays kind of a mixed up, but it's not known as a black club, because that comes with guaranteed we're frisking people at the door. There's a metal detector. And I get it. Everybody doesn't want to be in that environment. But a lot of people want the money from that environment.
Yes.
But my response to them when they said that, and the reason I bring this up was I said to them, I said, look, you control that. I go, I can play any music I want. Like, dude, I know how to do this. But you control that. And what I said to them was, what you can't let, not even just black, but to me, what I call the hip hop audience do to you is disrespect you. Because here's what the hip hop audience will do. If I know there's a dress code and I show up out of dress code,
right,
and you still let me in because I give you $20 to $25 more, I got you.
Yep.
Because now I know I can buy my way in anything I want to. And if I'm a hustler, scammer, whatever, I'm probably standing there with $5,000, $6,000 in my pocket, right? And planning to make that again this week. So if you ask me for an extra $100, man, I got that for everybody in my crew. It doesn't bother me. So, but now once I've disrespected your spot, I got you. You understand what I'm saying? Yep. So now your door guy is so happy that he's getting over what he would normally get, and he's got extra, that now he's barely even checking me in my crew, right? Yeah. And now the energy that you're starting to let in your place has changed, because sometimes if you don't watch that energy, what comes with the hustler crew, and this crew ain't just black, it's just the scammer, the more street crew later on at night. And that ain't always mean that they hard and killing. It just means that they in a different life than the normal 9 to 5 person, right? So what comes with that is I might be have in that little crossbody Louis Vuitton bag. Yeah, I might got 5,000 in there, but there's also a 9 in there. There's a Glock in there, right? And you didn't even check me for it.
Right.
But in my Snapchat, because Eakin has seen this in some of the places in this city that it would surprise people that the guys that are buying tables, they at their table showing their Glock. But you've let them in your club, not frisking them. And then you're surprised when something breaks out and there was a gun involved. And I think that people are like, because the hip hop or, that crowd, scammer crowd, will buy tables, will pay more weekly.
Yep.
Not saying for special events, but weekly. Just come out and spend money they ain't supposed to spend. Bottles upon bottles. Now you look at your bottom line going, bro, I can handle this. But you really aren't, because when something like this jumps off, nobody on your team was prepared.
No, there's so many ramifications all around, right? And I think you're right on that. It's not necessarily a black thing. I mean, you can have that same demographic across the board. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Right. And so, but yeah, because if you let the one guy in, how does the next guy who's back in line, he wants to get in, but he doesn't know the game until he sees you, and then now he's got the game, and now he's in.
Dude,
which is why I carry all the time.
Well,
all the time.
You're carrying properly, though.
Yes.
Right.
But everywhere. Because everybody else is who's not legal.
Right. No, it's like nobody's leaving home without it.
Yeah.
And I've literally seen it like in some of the most respected spots here. Blue Martini, drink, where literally I've seen Blue Martini when it was here.
Yeah.
I was doing Saturday nights. I never really saw the register rang over $10-20. I never really did. But on Sunday night, which was the hip hop urban night, man, I've seen that door guy be like, $100. And you'd be like, $100? Hey, man, either pay or to get out of line. Because the 6 girls behind you are paying $100 to get in. And the only difference in this Sunday's party and last Sunday's party was that everybody has Monday off.
Yeah.
Dude, it's been, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so I say that to say, I tell people this all the time when I'm giving parties. Like, they'll be like, well, Eakin, this dude's out of dress code. I go, no, that dude is Nelly. I can sell Nelly. If Nelly shows up here with a sweatsuit on, I can sell him.
Yeah.
Because when I put those pictures, people are going to go, Nelly was there last night? I can sell that. I cannot sell the third string defensive lineman that never has his helmet off, that just looks like a big guy in the club. So he needs to be in dress code. And then what also happens that people seem to forget is usually those people come with an entourage, right? So let's just use somebody that was popular here. Let's use Antonio Brown. Right. And not saying that he came out a lot. I'm just using him because he's popular. Antonio Brown might come to your party every single week. Right. He's popular. You want him there. Right. But he's got 6 of his boys that always come with him. And you kind of need them because they kind of, they got to make sure he's OK. Right. But then Antonio Brown is already done with what he's seen here because he's been here like 6 months. The pretty girls that he wanted to get, then again, it's just an example. It wasn't him. Right. He's ran through them. So now he's like, pickings here are slim.
Yeah.
But his boys still want to come to this party because they have privileges. But so do you still let them in out of dress code? Do you still let them break all the rules? And that's what I think some of these people forget when they own these venues. So then when you get an incident like this, I'm not surprised. I'm sure you're not, because you got other people telling you things that are going on, and so it becomes, what does the mayor have to deal with? What does the chief of police have to, what do the people who are paying that rent have to deal with?
Yeah. I mean, it's so multifaceted. The legal aspect of this whole thing is awesome. Like we could talk for probably an hour and just break down the different aspects of it, right?
Right.
So we'll put aside the self-defense part because that in and of itself we could just go crazy on and spend a lot of time on. But here's the thing. It's not necessarily the mayor, right? It's not necessarily the police. And as much as us lowly plaintiffs, personal injury attorneys, we get treated like the scum sometimes. It's on us, right? Because there's laws out there and there's ways. And I would be shocked if we didn't see a lawsuit, even though maybe this was a justified shooting, right? That there's a negligence case out there against the owner,
the venue, right?
Right? Because if I know there's stuff going on out there, right? I don't live in downtown. Right. But I can read the news, right? And I know somebody that lives out in that area that's told me. So if I know, I'm sure it's pretty common knowledge if you own a business there, right? You're probably not blind to that fact. Well, you have an obligation to keep your patrons safe.
Boom.
And it's that simple. And if you know about it, now let's say this, let's play the other side of it. Let's say this shooting was the first incident ever right? We never had any incidents in that area that, that everybody living in that, luxury apartment complex, they're all, 90 years old and they've never been a problem to anybody because, well, at 90, who are you being a problem to, right?
Right.
Okay. You know what? You as the business owner, you don't have any liability. It's not your fault because sometimes things happen.
Right.
You can't control what everybody does, right? And granted, you still can't control what everybody does. But what was telling was one of his quotes that I am now going to hire private security for when we have parties. Well, yep, you're probably a shooting too late for that because you have a duty and an obligation to keep your patrons safe. One of those things is having security if you know that there's incidents like this. Now, could you bring the city into this whole mess if you wanted to? It would make it a whole heck of a lot worse from the plaintiff's side to try to figure that out. But let's say, or not to figure it out, but to bring the city in, that's a whole disaster. And it's difficult. It's much easier to deal with the business owner. But was there enough lighting? That's a thing, right? And especially, and it'd fall in the city because most likely the city owns the area all around there versus if you have I'll use Dallas Bull, for example, because they have a big area, right?
Right.
So big parking lot, they would have lights, they would have everything else. They'd be responsible for making sure there's no dark areas. Security, same thing. So I think it becomes on us as the plaintiff's attorneys to go, we're the ones enacting the things that help keep you safe. We can make that bigger difference because we don't have any bureaucracy, right? We don't have to worry about what the police chief says or what the rank and file officers do or want to do or deal with anything other than, did you have the right security measures in place? If not, you need to pay us. And it sounds greedy and everything else, but money talks, right? We talked about it right in the lead up on this, right? What are they concerned about? The money in the cash register. Who's paying the tables? Who's doing all of that? Right. Well, the only way we can do anything is to get money. And if they like it coming in, they sure as heck don't like it coming out.
Stop playing. Don't forget, man, hit that subscribe button right now so you can catch all the updates and all the haps here at Hip Hop Study Hall. All right. It's your man, DJ Eakin. I see you. Subscribe. Hit it now.